Revenge films.
Some say it's necessary to move in together before marriage, but I would say it's meaningless if your partner consciously hides something or pretends to get along with you. Many of my married couple friends get along very well without moving in together before getting married. In my case, I moved in with my boyfriend before marriage. So when he got a transfer order a year later, we decided to get married and relocate together. I was 28 years old at the time. I quit my job and started my newlywed life, and my husband's company provided accommodation. We wanted to have kids as soon as possible, so we had a discussion and decided that I would be in charge of all the housework while working part-time until I got pregnant. He never complained about anything when we were living together, but his criticism started to grow as soon as we got married. When I pointed it out, he said,
"Of course, things will be different after marriage."
After seeing how much he changed after marriage, I told him I didn't see myself staying married with him, let alone having kids. He replied insensibly,
"We've only been married for a few years. A divorce will embarrass you and not me."
I'll admit that I failed to see his true colors before marriage. But then again, how? I wonder if it's even possible to do that. The first time we fought after marriage was about some leftover roasted butternut squash from the night before. I made soup by blending the leftover butternut squash and some caramelized onion.
"This is delicious. Tastes like restaurant food."
Really? I'm glad you like it.
"How did you make this?"
You'll be surprised. So first, I proudly explained to him how I made the soup, but before I could even finish, he frowned and said,
"Can you stop using leftovers? I'm already exhausted from work. This kind of dinner is such a letdown."
I had no idea why he would get upset. I've been doing the same thing before we got married. If some meat and potatoes were left from the night before, I would make a casserole for the following evening. If there was a small amount of curry left, I would make a curry fried rice. And if I had fried chicken left, I would turn it into a chicken salad. Before we got married, he enjoyed everything I made with leftovers. But this time, he completely denied the dish as soon as he realized it was made with leftovers. He said,
"Eat leftovers for your lunch."
Normally, I would eat the leftovers for lunch when I had no part-time work scheduled. I think it's more economical to use leftovers for dinner. Plus, leftovers usually taste better. So I didn't see any reason to stop using them. As for laundry, I decided to do it every 2 days because we didn't have so many laundries. He said,
"Don't be lazy. You should do laundry every day."
We used to do laundry every third day when we were both working before marriage. So I told him I wasn't being lazy, but then he scolded me.
"Stop bringing up how things were before we got married. You're just trying to escape from real issues."
As the days went by, conflicts like this occurred more often, and so did the voice in my heart that says, "This is not what I wanted." One day when my husband was on a business trip, I left my wedding ring on the table as well as a note that wrote, "I need time to think about our marriage," and I moved back to my parents' house. A few days later, he returned from his business trip and saw the note. He rushed to my parents' house. He apologized to my parents, but in a very condescending way.
"Maybe I shouldn't have been too strict with her when she's so spoiled and lazy. I'll try to give her more leeway in the future."
My dad replied,
"I know my daughter and how big of a decision she had to make to move to a new city with you. Tell me, what did she do to make you think she was spoiled and lazy?"
He hesitated after hearing my dad's reply, but soon he started to tell them about my butternut squash leftover soup. My father continued to ask,
"Anything else?
"Meat and potatoes,
And?
curry,
Is there more?
fried chicken,
And then?"
laundry."
I felt so embarrassed listening to him. Then my dad asked,
"And which part exactly indicates that she's spoiled and lazy?"
My husband replied,
"It's such a letdown that she serves those dishes when I come home from work exhausted. She's in charge of our finances, so I expect her to make decent dishes using fresh ingredients. I also want her to stop being lazy about laundry."
My mom was stunned by what my husband said. Then my dad said to my husband,
"Your mother needs to hear what you're saying too."
The next day we met at a hotel in the city. What exactly happened?
"Well, she became lazy after we got married, so I pointed it out. But she got angry and left home."
What do you mean by lazy? My husband proceeded to tell her about the butternut squash, the leftover dinner I made, and the issue of doing laundry. His mom's reaction was the same as my parents'. She said, "Are you even listening to yourself?" And she added, "I think she's doing very well trying to make ends meet. You should be thankful she's treating you so well at the kind of salary you make." It was such a relief to know my mother-in-law thinks the same as the rest of us. As she said, my husband makes about $1,800 a month. There is a year-end bonus, but it's about 1 month's pay. That's why I had to work part-time jobs and save as much as possible before getting pregnant. Using leftovers was always a way to save money. My husband clearly wasn't happy with his mom's comments, and he said,
Indeed, I don't get paid much, but I know how you raised my sister and me by yourself. I've never once seen you slacking off. You took care of everything at home and maintained your job perfectly. I'm not asking my wife to do everything for me. I just want to eat some decent food when I go home.
What do you mean by decent food? Before I could say anything, his mom had already argued back. "I've had enough of your stupidity." She said, "What's wrong with using leftovers? Do you remember your favorite casserole? I made that with your leftover curry and pasta."
What?
Yep. Fritters were made with leftover vegetables and fried rice with all the leftovers in the fridge. Didn't you like those so much that you always cleaned the plate?
No way! The veggie fritters were from leftovers? The fried rice was a combination of everything? Oh my god!
Well, my paycheck and child benefit barely covered the expenses. I had to save up to send you and your sister to university. You seem to mock the idea of using leftovers, but you grew up eating them. You think you're too good for leftovers now, huh? I also did laundry every third day to wash as many clothes as possible when I ran the washer. I even reused the water from the bathtub. My husband froze and couldn't say anything. Ever since he started to mock me for using leftovers, he always said,
My mom's cooking is incredible! Her casserole can beat any restaurant.
I can only imagine how shocked he was and how difficult for him to process the fact that his favorite foods were all made with leftovers. He started crying and begging for forgiveness. When I returned to my parents' home, I felt I had no feelings left for him anymore. So I told him we were getting a divorce. But his mom started crying too and asked me, I'm sorry my son is so stupid and ignorant, but could you give him another chance? So the divorce was temporarily put on hold. During the following month, he didn't complain about anything. Instead, our conversations became something like,
Did you use the leftovers from yesterday to make today's dinner?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I knew it! I know you can always think of something. You turned yesterday's leftovers into today's delicious dinner. You're amazing, just perfect.
Now I don't know how to react to his never-ending compliments.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.